I want to show you something a customer brought me last week. She's a school teacher, drives a 2021 RAV4, bought it new, never missed a service, takes care of it like it's a member of the family. Brought it in for a coolant flush, and while I had the dash apart, I found a module tucked behind the glove box that she had never seen in her life, and nobody at the dealership had ever mentioned. She asked me what it was. I told her it was a cellular transmitter, that it had its own SIM card, that it had been sending her location, her speed, her braking habits, and her daily routes back to Toyota since the day she drove off the lot. She stood in my shop for a second and then she said, "Can you take it out?" That conversation is happening in shops all over this country right now, and most mechanics either don't know what they're looking at or don't want to touch it. I've been doing this long enough that I don't have anything to lose by being straight with you. So let's talk about what this thing actually is, what it's actually been doing, and why the people who sold you your vehicle have no interest in explaining any of it. First, what it is and why you've never heard of it. Every manufacturer has a different name for it. Ford calls theirs the Telematics Control Unit. Toyota calls it the Data Communication Module. Ram, under Stellantis, calls it the Telematics Box Module. Doesn't matter what they call it. It's the same piece of equipment doing the same job. It's a box roughly the size of a thick paperback book. It has its own cellular antenna, its own SIM card. It's hardwired into the car's internal network, the CAN bus, which is the nervous system that carries signals between every module in the vehicle, and it's been live since the factory. It doesn't wait for you to set up an app. It doesn't wait for you to subscribe to anything. It starts the moment the car is built, and it runs every time you drive. Since around 2019, nearly every new Ford, Toyota, and Ram has had one installed at the factory, not as an add-on, not as an option, as a built-in component, the same way the steering column is a built-in component. You didn't choose it. It wasn't on the window sticker in a way that made it clear what it was. It was just there. Here's what it's listening to: your location, your speed, whether you brake hard, whether you accelerate hard, what time of night you're driving, what roads you take, how far you go. Some systems sample that data as often as every 3 seconds. And it sends all of that constantly, silently, over a cellular connection you cannot see back to the manufacturer. Second, your insurance premium may already be paying the price for it. I want to start here because this is the part that actually costs you money in your wallet right now, not someday, not theoretically now. In March of 2024, the New York Times reported that General Motors had been collecting detailed driving behavior from millions of its vehicles for years. Not just location, hard braking events, late night trips, stretches of road driven over the speed limit, and they had been taking that data and selling it to two companies, Verisk and LexisNexis, who then sold it to insurance companies. One Bolt owner requested his file from LexisNexis after his premium jumped 21% without explanation. What came back was 258 pages, 6 months of driving, 640 separate trips, every one of them documented. Another driver got turned down by 7 different insurers before an agent at Liberty Mutual finally told him why. His own car had been informing on him. California investigated. GM settled for $12.75 million, the largest penalty ever issued under the state's consumer privacy law. The FTC barred GM from selling that data to credit reporting agencies for 5 years. And then, a Senate investigation found that Hyundai had done the same thing. 1.7 million vehicles. Data sold to Verisk. Total payment to Hyundai just over $1 million. 61 cents per car. That's what a year of your driving history was worth to them. 61 cents. Nobody called you? Nobody asked? Nobody split that 61 cents with you? Third, the off switch they gave you doesn't work. When people first hear about this, the first thing they do is pick up their phone and cancel the Connected Services subscription. Cancel Toyota Safety Connect. Cancel Ford Pass. Turn off data sharing in the vehicle menu, and they figure they've handled it. They haven't. That RAV4 I mentioned, the teacher's car, her previous owner had opted out of every connected service Toyota offered. Unchecked every box. Canceled everything the menu would let him cancel. The car kept transmitting, because the menu toggle shuts off the convenience features, the remote start, the roadside assistance, the subscription services. It does not touch the cellular radio inside the module. The module keeps running. The data keeps going. The Mozilla Foundation reviewed 25 car brands for their Privacy Not Included report. Of those 25, exactly 2 gave drivers a real mechanism to stop their data collection entirely. Both of those brands are sold only in Europe, where the privacy laws actually have teeth. In the US, the off switch is theater. It exists so you feel like you did something. The module doesn't get the memo. Fourth, the manufacturers built layers into this deliberately, and each brand made it harder than the last. Here's what I've noticed working on these vehicles. The accessibility of that module isn't random. It tracks almost exactly with how much the manufacturer has invested in the data program, and I don't think that's a coincidence. On a Ford, an Escape, or an F-150, the module is relatively straightforward to reach. Under the trunk floor on the Escape, behind the rear seat panel on the truck, 3 connectors, 2 antenna leads, 1 power, and data plug. Most owners who know what they're looking for can get there in 20 minutes, with a trim tool and a flashlight. Toyota made it harder. On a Highlander or a Tacoma, it's behind the passenger side of the dash, next to the main computer. To get there properly, you're pulling the glove box, the air vents, and a long run of trim. And there's a catch Toyota built in that feels like it was designed to discourage you. The front right speaker and the hands-free microphone are routed through the module. Disconnect it the blunt way, and you lose both. So, owners engineered around it. A small bypass harness, about $20 in connectors, that you plug into the empty sockets after you pull the module. It tells the car the module is still present, just permanently out of range. Speaker works. Microphone works. Data stops flowing. Why does that matter particularly with Toyota? Because their connected data runs through a company called Connected Analytics Services, which is tied to Toyota's own insurance operation. After about 60 days of driving, they have enough data to send you a personalized insurance quote based on your actual behavior behind the wheel. The bypass harness ends that before it starts. Ram under Stellantis built the most aggressive system of the 3. Pull the telematics module on a modern Ram without going through the proper process, and the truck throws errors across every screen. Because Ram added a security gateway, a gatekeeper module that blocks deeper diagnostic access. To properly remove the telematics box from a Ram, you have to install a bypass for the security gateway first, then pull the module, then use aftermarket laptop software called Alpha OBD to go into the body control module and rewrite the configuration telling the truck the cellular radio no longer exists, so it stops looking for it. One Ram owner who finished this on a 2022 described what he wanted in plain terms. He said he just wanted a truck that drove and told nobody about it, like a 1990 truck. To get that out of a $70,000 pickup in 2022, he had to bypass a security gate, pull hardware, and reprogram a computer. They made it harder in the exact order they had the most to lose. That's not engineering coincidence. Fifth, there's a camera coming next, and most people don't know it yet. This is the part that makes the tracking module look almost quaint. Starting in 2027, which is next year, federal regulations will require new vehicles to include a driver monitoring camera pointed at your face while you drive. The official reason is drowsiness detection and driver attention monitoring, especially for vehicles with semi-autonomous features. And look, some of that is legitimate. If you're running a system that's partly steering the car, it needs to know you're paying attention. I understand the engineering argument. But here's what I know from building systems that communicated over networks. The hardware you install today is governed by the software you push tomorrow. That camera is going in with the same cellular connectivity already in the telematics module, which means the same infrastructure that sends your location and braking data home can also, with a software update, send images or data derived from facial recognition. I'm not telling you that's what's going to happen. The moment I tell you exactly what they're planning, I'm guessing. What I'm telling you is the plumbing is going in. What runs through it later is a decision someone else gets to make. Facial recognition for identity verification, emotion monitoring, flagging behavior and selling it, the same way braking data got sold. Not one of those things requires new hardware, just new software pushed over the connection already in the car. You weren't asked about the telematics module. You won't be asked about the camera either. Sixth, the dealership won't help you with any of this. That silence is the answer. Across every brand, owners who called the manufacturer's support line and asked directly, "How do I permanently disable the data module?" got the same response. "We can't assist with that. Please contact your dealer." When they contacted the dealer, same wall, "Can't help you." Think about that against everything else those same dealers will help you with. They'll walk you through disabling the seatbelt chime. They'll turn off the lane keep assist. They'll disable the auto stop start if you hate it enough. All of those things, no problem. The one system in the car that generates revenue for someone else after you drive away, that's the one they won't touch. I've been doing this job for a long time. When a mechanic won't show you something on your own vehicle, there's a reason. Either he doesn't understand it, or showing you costs him something. The manufacturer understands this equipment perfectly, so you can figure out which one it is. A feature that's there for you is one they're willing to let you turn off. The fact that they won't help you turn this off tells you who it's actually there for. Seventh, what you can actually do about it and what it'll cost you. I'm not going to sell you on ripping everything out. That's your call, and some of the costs are real. Pull the telematics module, and you lose automatic crash notification. You lose the remote app that starts your car from inside. You lose stolen vehicle tracking through the manufacturer's system. For some people, that's not a trade they're willing to make, and I respect that. But if you want to know your options, here's where to start. Use an AI tool. I've used Grok for this. Give it your exact year, make, and model, and ask it where the telematics unit is, what it connects to, and what you lose if you pull it. You'll get a straight answer that's specific to your vehicle. Some are a 2-0 minute job. Some are an afternoon. Know what you're getting into before you start. If you don't want to pull the module, but you want to reduce exposure, look into whether a bypass harness exists for your vehicle. The Toyota Bypass in particular lets you keep your dash functions while cutting the cellular connection. If you don't want to touch the hardware at all, at minimum you should understand what's in there. Pull your driving data from LexisNexis directly. You can request it. See what's already in your file. That alone is worth doing. And call your representatives. Not an email, a phone call. Ask them directly what consumer protection exists for the data that vehicle manufacturers collect without disclosed consent. Right now the answer is almost nothing outside California. Here's where I land after 42 years in this business. For most of the last century, a car was the most private space most people owned. More private than their house in a lot of ways. What you did in your vehicle, where you went, who you picked up, what time you came home, that was nobody's business but yours. That changed quietly, one model year at a time. Inside a module most owners will never see and never know the name of. GM showed the country what that quiet change is worth on the open market. Turned out it was worth 61 cents per driver per year, a $12.75 million fine, and a 21% insurance hike for a man who never knew the arrangement existed. I'm not against technology. I put the latest systems in the vehicles I build, but there's a difference between technology that works for you and technology that watches you while pretending to work for you. The only people who fully opted out are the ones who went looking. Most of them didn't go looking because they were paranoid. They went looking because something felt off. An insurance rate that jumped for no reason. A service they canceled that kept running. A module a mechanic found that nobody had mentioned. If something in your own driveway won't answer to you, it doesn't truly belong to you. That's been true of cars for 100 years. It's still true now. The question is whether you want to know what's in yours. Tell me in the comments what you drive and what you find when you go looking. Other owners will want to know whether your vehicle is one of the easy ones or one of the fortresses. And if this showed you something nobody at the dealership ever mentioned, share it with somebody who still thinks that module is just there for navigation.